Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on creating the wow factor using hotspots to enhance your Yulio VR projects. My name is Nicole. I'm one of the client success specialists here at Yulio, and I'll be hosting today's session. So, the main objective for today's webinar is to go over some of the ways you can take your VR projects to the next level with Yulio's many different enhancement tools. This training will cover a lot of information, so if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to enter them in the question box and I will answer them during the Q&A period at the end of our session. My contact details are also on the screen now, so if you'd like to follow up on today's webinar with a complimentary training session on anything we did or didn't cover today, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to set that up with you. Finally, if you do have to leave today's session early, I am recording the full webinar and will send that to all registrants, so you'll be able to watch it later and you can share it with your team as well. So here's our agenda for today's session. We'll start off by going over how to upload your enhancement assets to your project. I'll then show you how you can add those assets to your project using the hotspot editor. After that, we'll go over how to view your project and trigger hotspots. And we'll wrap up, like I said, with the Q&A period. So let's get started by logging into my Yulio account. So if you're new to Yulio, when you log into your account, you'll always land here on the projects page. So this is where you can create new projects and where all the projects on your account are stored. The project that I'm going to be working with today was designed in CET and rendered with Yulio Jump. Again, if you're new to Yulio, Yulio Jump is our cloud-based rendering engine that is available through the Yulio plugin for CET, Revit, and SketchUp. It's free to install and use for anyone with an active Yulio license. When you render your projects with Yulio Jump, a new Yulio project will be automatically created for you, and it will appear in your Yulio account looking something like this. So I'm just going to open our project here. So right now I'm on the project edit page, and as you can see, I have my project scenes uploaded already here. When you use Yulio Jump, your scenes will automatically be uploaded to your project straight out of rendering. You can also choose to have your floor plan and augmented reality assets generated and uploaded for you through Yulio Jump, which I have done and I will show you in a little bit. Now, you don't have to use Yulio Jump to create a Yulio VR project. So if you choose to render your scenes with another rendering engine, you can always manually upload those scene renders just by clicking here on this Browse button. That being said, since my scenes are ready to go, and this is the most important part, I'm going to take you through some of the project enhancement assets we can upload. So as you can see here, we have our scenes tab, which I'm on now. We also have audio, images, video, AR, and floor plan. So for the purposes of today's webinar, I'm going to be taking advantage of all of these enhancements so you can see how each of them can elevate your VR project. But please note that aside from your scenes, these are all optional. So you can choose to use all of them, some of them, or none of them. So our first enhancement is audio. And there's a couple different ways you can incorporate audio into your VR experiences. The first is through audio hotspots, which are placed as a clickable hotspot anywhere in your project. A couple of ways you can use audio hotspots are to insert a welcome message or describe design choices. The second way you can incorporate audio into your project is through ambient audio. Ambient audio will automatically play when your viewer enters a scene, so there's no hotspot associated with this audio. Some ways you can use ambient audio would be to add music or background noise to your project to set a certain mood and just make the experience more immersive overall. If you're interested, we do offer sample audio files for you to download from the project resources page, which you can access by clicking on the resources tab at the top of the page here, and then selecting project resources. So if you scroll down, here are a bunch of different audio files that you can download and use in your own projects. Okay, so regardless of how you will be using your audio, so whether that's a hotspot or ambient audio, you're going to upload all of those files here. So I'm just going to do that now by clicking on the browse button and uploading these files from my computer. All right, our next enhancement option is images. So here you can upload a JPEG or PNG file and add it as an image hotspot anywhere in your project. Some of the ways you can use image hotspots are to show your client a real life product shot, a material sample, or even a before and after photo. So again, to upload my images, I'm going to click on browse and select my image files. Next, we have video. So like images, you can insert video anywhere in your project as a video hotspot. A couple of ways you can use video are to incorporate a product video or even introduce the designer and have them share some details about the design. So, anyone with an active Yulio license can add a video to their project from YouTube or Vimeo. To add a YouTube video, it's super simple. You'll just find the video you want on YouTube, copy the URL, and then go back here and select add a video from YouTube and just paste that. One thing to keep in mind with adding a YouTube or Vimeo video is that you will not be able to view the video in Yulio from a VR headset. You'll only be able to view the video in browser mode, in the browser mode experience. So that would be from your desktop or phone. Now, if you're interested in uploading a video file directly from your computer, Yulio offers a premium video add-on at an additional cost. So with this option, you can view the video in browser mode and on a VR headset. The premium video add on also enables you to incorporate video scenes into your VR project. So, if this is something you're interested in, feel free to reach out to me later and I can put you in touch with one of our account executives to go over that with you in more detail. All right, our next project enhancement option is AR or augmented reality models. As you can see, I already have my AR models uploaded here because, like my scenes, they were generated through during the rendering process with Yulio Jump. So, a benefit of adding AR to your VR project is that you can bring certain objects in your project to life for your client. So, using just a phone, a tablet, or a VR headset, your client can actually see what the object will look like in the context of their own physical space. So, we'll go into this a little bit more later on, and you'll be able to try out AR for yourself. But the easiest way to create AR content for your Yulio VR project is through Yulio Jump for Revit, SketchUp, and CET. So if you want to learn more about adding AR to your Yulio projects, I encourage you to check out the Yulio Jump user guides, which we have available on the CAD plugins page on our website. So you can access the CAD plugins page again by going to resources and selecting CAD plugins. And this page looks like this. And from here, you can select to download the user guide depending on your preferred CAD tool. And then within those user guides, there will be a section included that covers AR assets and how to incorporate those into your project. Okay, if you choose not to use Yulio Jump, again, you can manually upload an AR model from your files as long as it meets our compatible upload formats, which you can see by clicking on this tab here. Okay, the final enhancement option we have here is floor plan. Like I mentioned earlier, if you render with Yulio Jump, your floor plan can be automatically captured and uploaded to your project for you, which I have done. So mine is already uploaded here. Again, if you don't use Yulio Jump, you can always upload your floor plan manually. You can also upload multiple floor plans here if you have a multi-level project. So when you include a floor plan in your project, Yulio allows you to add location markers to that floor plan, which I will show you in a little bit. These location markers will represent each of your scenes, and your clients can actually use the markers to help them identify where they are in the space and use them to navigate to new scenes. Okay, so these are all the assets you can upload to your project. You can always come back to this page anytime if you want to add more assets or if you want to remove assets. One of the great things about Yulio is that you don't have to remember to save your changes along the way. All of your edits are automatically saved as you go. So now that I have all of my assets uploaded, the next step would be to open up the hotspot editor and start adding in the navigation and enhancement hotspots to my scenes using those assets I uploaded. So to open the hotspot editor from this page, I can just click on this big blue button on the top right side of my screen. Oops. So when you open the editor, you'll see that you are standing in your first scene, and all of your editing options are available to you along the left hand side. So Yulio makes it super easy to add your enhancements to your scenes using a simple drag and drop method. So we'll start with the first tab here, which is titled or labeled target scenes. These the scenes we can see here correspond to the photos or camera views that were captured in my CAD tool, in this case CET, and rendered with Jump. So within the hotspot editor, I can drag and drop these scenes into my project to create navigation hotspots. Navigation hotspots are Yulio's form of point-to-point navigation. So they can be used by your client to navigate your VR project and help give them a sense of walking around the space. So as you can see, my navigation hotspots have already been placed in my project. So we have view 2 and view 3, and I'm standing in view 1. Um, so when you render with Yulio Jump like I have, you have the option to add navigation hotspots to your scenes during the rendering process. So that's what I've done here, and this just saves me from having to do it manually myself. That being said, I do typically like to come into the hotspot editor to fine tune the placement and the size of my navigation hotspots that are generated through Jump. So this is where I would go to do that. So if you want to adjust the location of your hotspot, you can use your mouse to click on the hotspot and drag it where you want it. Yulio Jump will typically place the hotspots kind of at eye level, but we've also seen people place their hotspots on the floor, so it doesn't take away from the scene as much. Um, but in this case, I'm just going to kind of keep them at eye level, so we'll place that there. If you wanted to edit the size of the hotspot, you can click on this pencil tool here, and that will open up your hotspot properties. And you can use this depth slider here to adjust the size of the hotspot. And I'm saying size, but technically what this tool is doing is making your hotspot appear closer or further away in VR, which just helps the viewer distinguish between near and far. So I'm going to place my depth slider about there. So ideally with the depth slider, you're going to want to adjust it depending on how far away or close you want the hotspot to appear in relation to your current camera view or position. Okay, so another a couple other hotspot properties you can edit are the title of your hotspot. So you can change this title to whatever you would like. You can also hide the title altogether if you don't want it being shown. You can also adjust the color of your hotspot. So standard options here are white and black, but you can also open up this paint tool and choose any color you like. All right, that's ready. So I'm just going to press close. Now, if you didn't use Yulio Jump, or if you prefer to add your hotspots manually, you can do this just by dragging and dropping each scene or camera view into your current scene based on its location. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this third hotspot here just to show you what this process looks like. So deleting that. So looking at this thumbnail image here, that's your target view. So this will tell you where that camera or perspective is located in the scene. So now I'm just going to drag and drop the um, the scene into the project based on that approximate location. So it's located about here. And once I drop it, my hotspot properties will pop up where I can edit the title and adjust the depth, which is probably one of the most important parts. So this third view is a little bit further away from me than my second. So I'm just going to make that hotspot circle appear a little bit smaller. And then I'll just press close. So if you're adding your navigation hotspots manually, another thing you're going to want to remember is to add your navigation hotspots to each scene in your project. So that means moving to the next scene. So you can do that by clicking on this arrow here. And then again, adding in these hotspots to this scene as well. Before moving on, I just want to point out some of these other hotspots in my scene that you might have noticed. So there's one on this chair and one on this table. These are actually the AR hotspots that I chose to generate through Yulio Jump. So not only can Yulio Jump create the AR model for you, but it will also place the hotspot for you in your scenes. So I just wanted to point that out because you'll notice these throughout my scenes as I continue on here. But I'll go over AR hotspots in more detail in a little bit. All right, so now that we have our navigation hotspots ready to go, let's move down the list of editing options here. Next, we have audio. So audio hotspots have to be added manually. So here are those audio files I uploaded earlier. And again, I'm just going to drag and drop the audio into my scene wherever I want it. So this is a welcome message here. So I'm just going to place this in the reception area. And again, when I drop the hotspot, my hotspot properties will pop up. So something I'm going to do here is shorten my title actually to just welcome. And this is because longer titles don't look great if you're going to be viewing in a VR headset. You just kind of, in general, we like to keep the titles as short as possible. And then the depth looks pretty good. And I'm going to keep the color the same. And I will just press close. Next, we have text. So text hotspots are the only enhancement asset that we don't have to upload anything in advance for. We create our text hotspots right from within the hotspot editor. So adding text to your project is just another way to engage your client as they're exploring your VR experience. Some ways you can use text hotspots are to insert a welcome message, provide product details or specs, or share any other additional information about the space. I'm actually going to move to my next scene to add a text hotspot, and I can do this just by clicking on this arrow at the bottom of my screen. So now I'm in view 2, and as you can see, I'm just viewing the space from a new location. Oh, let's remove this here. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in my text hotspot. So to create the hotspot, I'm going to click on Create Annotation. And I'm going to use this text hotspot to provide some more information about this seating system here. So in the title, I'm going to write the product name. And next, I'm going to add a short product description. So I have up to 140 characters here. Okay. Next, I can add an external link. So this is a clickable link that will be available under the description when your client activates the text hotspot. In this case, I'm going to link to the product page. So I'm just going to first add the link title, I'll just title this product details, and then add in my external links. So I'm going to go to the product page and paste the link here. Now I'm going to adjust my depth slider and move this where I want it, and then press close. Now, when my client opens the text hotspot, this link will appear here and they can click on that and be directed to the product page for more information. Okay, next we have image annotations. So here's the two images that I uploaded earlier. And just like I've been doing, I'm going to click and drag my image into the scene to create a hotspot. So let's see. So this is a photo here of another combination of this modular seating. So I'm just going to place it over the seating here. And then looking at my hotspot properties, I'm going to hide this title. And that's just the product name, just so that it's not distracting within my scene. My client will still be able to see the title when they open the hotspot. Again, I have the option to add a link to this hotspot, so I can link to the product page and again add in the link. Oops. And I can adjust the depth again and press close. And there's my image hotspot. So one thing I want to mention is that when you're creating and placing your enhancement hotspots, we recommend sprinkling those hotspots throughout all the scenes in your project. So as you can see, I started off in my first scene, I added my audio, and now I'm in the second scene, I'm adding text and image. And this is really just to help keep your clients engaged as they move from scene to scene. And it also just helps to keep you from flooding one single scene with a bunch of different hotspots. So on that note, I'm going to move to my third scene. And here I'm going to add in my video hotspot. So we do often see videos being placed on a screen, so a TV or a computer, but you can place them anywhere you'd like. The video I have here is actually a product video for these two chairs. So I'm going to place it on the chair. Again, I'm going to hide my title. You can add an external link to your video as well, but I'm just going to leave that blank. Adjust my depth and press close. Okay, the last hotspot option we have here is AR. Like I said earlier, I rendered this project with Yulio Jump and added AR models to my render. So my AR hotspots were generated and placed in my project automatically. Similar to navigation hotspots though, sometimes if the placement or the size of the hotspots are off, I do like to come in to the hotspot editor and adjust them. So I can click on my AR, press this or click on this pencil and adjust the depth if I wanted to. I can turn on the title and I can even shift around the location. I can also come in and add an external link to these AR models as well. So for instance, if I want to link to the product page, I can add that in here for my client to learn more. One thing I want to mention while we're in this scene about AR is that when you're generating AR models out of Yulio Jump, Jump will place the AR model onto the object in every scene that you render. So for example, Yulio placed an AR hotspot on this chair and on this table. However, as you can see, you can't really see the objects from this perspective. So personally, I don't think it makes sense to have the hotspot in this scene because the furniture is kind of hidden. And I can get a better view of these two pieces of furniture in my first scene. So what I would do here is actually just delete the AR hotspots from this scene altogether. So I can do that just by clicking on it and deleting. Now, if I go back to view one, so I can do that just by clicking on the home button. My AR hotspots will still be seen or shown in this scene. So I can keep them here, and I just think it makes more sense to have them here. If I go to view 2, again, they are appearing here as well. You can see the chair pretty well from this perspective, so I might keep this one, but I would probably delete the table AR from this scene as well. Now again, when I go back to home, they're still available here. Okay, so moving on from hotspots, I'm going to click on our next icon here, which is the floor plan. And then this opens up my project's floor plan. So what you can do in the hotspot editor to enhance your floor plan is add location markers that are associated with your scenes. Because I rendered with jump and selected add floor plan, all of my location markers have been accurately placed into the floor plan for me. However, if you didn't use jump, you would be able to come into the hotspot editor and add in those location markers manually just by dragging and dropping them into the floor plan based on their approximate location. So I can show you how to do that. I'll just delete this first one here. And again, what I would do is look at the preview of the location of this marker just based on the thumbnail. And I'm just going to click and drag it and drop it into my floor plan at its approximate location. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you can get as close as possible. And that looks about right. So I'll just leave that there. So by having these location markers on your floor plan, when your client opens up the floor plan, they'll be able to easily identify where they are in your space. So depending on which scene they're in, when they open up the floor plan, the location marker that represents the scene they're in will be highlighted blue, kind of like it is here. They can also use the location markers to navigate to a new scene just by clicking on them. All right, the next tab we have here is labeled starting direction. And what starting direction allows you to do is adjust the opening shot that the viewer will see upon entering a scene. So this is a nice tool to use if you want to adjust the starting direction of your first scene to set up sort of a beauty shot. Right now, my starting direction for this my opening scene looks like it does in this thumbnail here. If I wanted to change it, I can just click on my scene here and adjust the view. So if I wanted this to be my starting scene, I would just adjust it to where I want it and then press apply. And in a few seconds, my new starting direction will be set. Okay, so that's set up now. And if I wanted to remove that customization at any time, I can just select reset to default and then apply, and it will revert those changes. If you wanted to change the starting direction for additional scenes in your project, you can do that just by clicking on the next scene and repeating those steps. Okay, the last tab we have here is the settings tab. So here you'll find a handful of settings that you can turn on or off just by using these toggle buttons. So under navigation controls, I'm going to start with maintain direction when navigating by hotspots. So this setting enables what we call forward gaze navigation. Forward gaze navigation means that when viewers navigate through your VR project using the navigation hotspots, they will enter each scene facing the same direction that they came from. So this helps create a more natural walkthrough experience. This setting is turned on by default for all projects, but there are some steps you have to take for it to function properly. Um, Also, please note that this setting is only relevant for projects that include a floor plan and navigation hotspots. Okay, so one way to ensure your forward gaze navigation will function properly is to set your camera positions facing due north while you're setting up your views in your CAD tool before rendering. If you do this, you won't need to follow these next steps. If you don't set your camera positions to due north before rendering, you will have to manually create a relationship between your floor plan and your scenes in Yulio. So I'll show you how to do that now. It is pretty simple. So first, you're going to make sure that this setting here is toggled on. And you're also going to want to make sure that the show floor plan hotspot direction is also toggled on. Next, you're going to open up that floor plan tab again. And as you can see, my field of view indicators or cones are all turned on now and they're facing up. So what I'm going to do here to set up my forward gaze navigation is adjust the direction of those cones to match the target view that I see in these thumbnails here. So here's my first location marker, and I'm going to want to adjust the direction of this cone to face the direction that I see in that target view. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to kind of get it as close as possible. That looks about right. Next, I'll just press close, open up my next one, adjust the cone to this view, and my last one here, adjusting the direction of this cone to match the thumbnail. That's it. So now when your client uses the navigation hotspots to move from scene to scene, they will enter the next scene facing the direction they came from. Okay, now I'm just going to go back to the settings tab here. And I'm going to direct your attention back to the show minimap setting. So turning this setting on will enable a mini map in the top right corner of the screen, and it can help your client see where they are within the project's floor plan, as well as which direction they're facing. In order for the mini map to function as it should, you will need to ensure these two settings are turned on. So you're going to want to make sure maintain direction when navigating by hotspots is turned on, and show floor plan hotspot direction. And then you're also going to want to make sure that you've calibrated the cones just like we did, so that when your client moves, the cones are facing the right direction. The mini map, again, will also only work for projects that include a floor plan and floor plan location markers. All right, the last setting we have here is show hotspot alignment grid. So by turning this on, this grid will pop up here, and this just can help you accurately place your hotspots in your project. I'm going to turn that off. And that's all for settings. So now just going back to our enhancement assets for a moment. If you recall, one thing that I haven't added to this project is ambient audio. Ambient audio is actually created outside of the hotspot editor. So I'm just going to click on this back button and return to our project edit page. So you can add ambient audio to any or all scenes from this page just under the Scenes tab. As I mentioned earlier, ambient audio will play as soon as your client enters the scene where you've added the audio. So to add audio to a scene, you'll just click on this sound button. And here are those audio files I uploaded earlier. I'm just going to click on my indoor ambience, which is just general background noise that you might hear in a public indoor space. So to select it, just click on it. And then here we have a couple of options for looping the audio. So you can loop it indefinitely or just once. And then you would press save. So now when my viewer enters the third scene here, or view 3, this audio will play as soon as they enter the scene. To remove the audio from the scene, I can do this by clicking on the audio again, deselecting it, and pressing save. And if I wanted to add audio to all of my scenes in my project, I'll have to do that one by one, just by repeating those steps. Okay, the final project enhancement I want to go over is scene options. So scene options are something that you can add to your project right away or as it develops. So scene options allow you to show your client multiple versions of the same scene with different materials, lighting, furniture configurations, and so on. So I'm going to show you an example of scene options using a different project. So I'm going to go back to my folder here. So to create a scene option, you're going to start off by rendering your additional scene if you haven't already done so. If you're rendering an additional scene with Yulio Jump, Jump will create a new Yulio project with that scene, and it will look something like this. So I have a whole new project here just with a single scene. After opening up the project, you're going to want to download the single scene just by clicking on this download button. So once that downloads, you'll go back to the Yulio project that you want to add the scene to. So here is my office space, and this is where I want to add in my additional scene. So I would do that just by clicking on the browse button and downloading that scene. I've already done that here, or uploading that scene, sorry. And this is it here, option 2. So since I've already uploaded the scene, this is another version of the welcome area here. And what I'm going to do is I want to group it with as a scene option with my welcome area. So to do that, I'm going to click on these 2 lines and drag the scene to create a group. From here, you can name the group whatever you'd like. So I'm going to name it welcome area. And then I'm going to click on this expand button here. And I'm just going to relabel my first scene to option 1. So here's my original scene that I had, and here option 2 is that additional scene that I uploaded to create a scene option. So now that's done, I can go ahead, I'm going to view the project and show you what this will look like. So this is what your client will see when you've added scene options to your project as an extra tab here at the bottom. When you click on that, you'll see your different scene options. You can add more than one option here as well. So here's option 2, and they can kind of go back and forth to see between the two to see the differences in the space. So this is a great tool for helping your client maybe make faster decisions if they're stuck between 2 or more design options. Okay, let's go back to our original project now. All right, so here we're back at that original project we were working on. And now that I've added all of my enhancements and my hotspots, I can go ahead and view my project. So to view my project from my project edit page here, I can just click on this view in 360 button, and this will open my project in browser mode. So as you can see, all of my hotspots are here in the space. I also just want to point out here's that what that mini map looks like if you've turned it on. So let's test out some of our hotspots. So we have our audio hotspot, although I think when I click it, I'm not sure if you can hear that, but if you can, that's playing now. Let's see. We can open up, let's move to our view 2. So navigating, as you can see, when I entered into this scene, I entered the same direction. I entered facing the same direction that I came from. That's because we calibrated our forward gaze navigation. Here's our text, a hotspot. I can open that up, read the text, open the link to view more product information. Let's take a look around here. Here's our image hotspot. I can expand the image by clicking on it. Let's go ahead and open our floor plan. So as you can see, the location marker for the location that I'm standing in is highlighted blue, so that tells me where I'm at. And I can navigate to my third scene just by clicking on that marker. And here's our video. Okay, we'll close that. And let's move back to view one so that I can show you the AR hotspots. Okay. So if you haven't tried Air with Yulio, now's your chance. So when you click on the Air hotspot in browser mode from a computer, your experience will be restricted to kind of what you see here. So I can use my mouse to click and drag to rotate the object in full 360. To view the object in true AR from this page, I can click on this AR button at the bottom of the screen, and a QR code will pop up that I can scan by opening the camera app on my smartphone or even on a tablet. So this will open the AR object on my mobile device where I can see the object in the context of my own surroundings. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a great tool for clients to see how a combination of furniture or any other object will fit into their space. So if you want to try it out now, you can go ahead and scan this QR code. Again, just using the camera app on your phone. You'll just need to make sure that you have enough empty space around you to actually place the object. Otherwise, the AR object won't function properly. I also want to mention that if you were viewing this Yulio project from a VR headset or directly from your phone, you wouldn't have to uh, scan the QR code to view the object. You'd be able to view the object in AR straight from that device. So if you have gone ahead and opened the object now, you should be able to position it, scale it, walk around it. You can lift it up, down. So you can continue experimenting with that. But on that note, that will wrap up the webinar. So I'm just going to return to my slides. So that's it. So thank you all for joining me today. I hope that you were able to take away some tips for enhancing your VR projects. If you have any questions, you can submit them in the question box, and I'll stick around for the next couple of minutes to answer those. As a reminder, if you want to book an additional training session with me on anything we covered today, my email is up on the screen, so please feel free to reach out, and I will gladly work with you to set up a time for us to meet. Of course, you can also contact me anytime if you have questions that pop up later. All right, I'll stick around for the next couple of minutes, but thank you for joining me today and see you soon.